Welcome back to the deep dive. Getting your website noticed by Google can feel like trying to stand out in a crowded stadium. You sent us some really interesting research from an SEO forum, and someone actually put those get indexed fast services to the test.
Yeah, I saw that one. Really clever how they set it all up.
It is. And the results are, well, let's just say pretty eye-opening.
Definitely raises some questions about which ones are worth your time and money, huh?
Absolutely. So, to set the stage for our listeners, this researcher wanted to isolate, I guess you could say, the impact of these services. So they built these things called orphaned pages, pages with absolutely zero links pointing to them.
Not even in a sitemap. So really the only way Google was going to find these pages is if these indexing services actually, worked.
Exactly. And to make sure things were super accurate, they tracked Googlebot visits through server logs, not,
Yeah.
third-party analytics or anything like that. So what did they find? Well, some services like Speedy Index and Page Indexer consistently got Googlebot to swing by within like an hour or two.
Wow, that's quick. I mean, I guess the name Speedy Index kind of gives it away.
Right. But not all of them were quite so speedy. Some, like link indexing, took several days. And then there was Smart Indexer. Only 1 out of their 5 test pages got indexed within, get this, 2 weeks.
Ouch. That's got to sting a little bit.
Right. So speed's important, but the researcher also wanted to see how these services handled more complex scenarios. So they tested indexing. What do they call them? Oh, search box parasites, like when you do a search on a website and all those extra words get added to the URL.
Ah, right. This can be tricky for Google to find sometimes.
Exactly. Most of the services didn't have any trouble with those, but when it came to indexing a PDF, only link indexing was up to the task.
So if you're working with like PDS or anything beyond basic web pages, you really got to pay attention to that, huh?
Definitely. This study highlights the need to really think about like your overall SEO strategy, right? Are
Yeah.
you launching a brand new website and need to get it indexed fast, or are you working with an established site and just need to, boost a few pages?
Makes sense. Now, any concerns about the study itself? I mean, there are always those, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Some folks argue that 5 URLs per service, which is what the researcher used, just wasn't enough data to like draw definitive conclusions.
5 does seem a little, I don't know, on the low end, maybe.
Yeah, and there was also chatter about potential bias because the researcher had a paid ad for link indexing on their forum profile.
Mm.
But to their credit, they were super transparent about it and really encouraged people to, scrutinize their methods.
Good on them for that. Transparency is key, especially in this field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to make sure things were as unbiased as possible, the researcher used 5 different older domains for the test just to, eliminate any variables. Plus, they created brand new, essentially garbage content for each page, just to ensure it was fresh for Google.
Clever. And to avoid any bias from those free trials or promotional credits, they actually used paid accounts for each service.
Really important detail there. They were testing these services as, a regular customer would.
Hmm.
So even with the maybe small sample size,
Yeah.
there are some really valuable insights here.
Absolutely. So now I'm curious to get your take on the findings. What stands out to you? What should our listeners be paying attention to? I think the big takeaway here is that not every indexing service is like created equal. Some are definitely faster, some are more consistent.
Totally. And like we were talking about earlier, speed isn't the only thing to think about, right?
Right.
It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
Right. Like if you're mostly working with, just basic web pages or blog posts, then yeah, speed is probably your top priority. But if you've got like a ton of PDFs or something.
Yeah, you need a service that can actually handle those.
Exactly. And this study shows, I mean, not all of them can. And it also makes you think about, where you are in your like overall SEO strategy.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean by that?
Like, are you launching a brand new site and you need everything indexed ASAP? Or are you working with a site that's already established, and you just need a little boost for certain pages?
Right, right. It's not like a one-size-fits-all situation.
Nope. And this study is a great example of how, like, even a little bit of research, a little critical thinking can go a long way.
I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in the hype with all these SEO tools and promises,
Yeah.
right? But you got to take a step back and say, hold on, is this thing actually doing what it says it's going to do?
Exactly. And what's really fascinating to me is that the method this researcher used, it can be applied to like so many other areas of SEO. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like instead of just relying on, your gut feeling or whatever the latest trend is, We can actually create these controlled experiments. We can gather data, see what's really working and what's not. It's a more, I guess you could say, a more scientific approach.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's so easy to get, swept up in those SEO fads, but
Hmm.
this study really reminds us, like, let's look at the data. Let's focus on what's actually delivering results?
100%. And, this whole conversation has got me thinking, what if we took this idea a step further?
What do you have in mind?
Well, we've seen how effective this method was for, tracking those Googlebot visits. But what if we could, like, track how Google interacts with specific elements on the page itself?
Wait, so you're saying, like, beyond just knowing that Googlebot stopped by, we could actually see what it's looking at, what's grabbing its attention?
Exactly. Imagine being able to see, like, which headings are working, which images are getting noticed, even which paragraphs Google's really digging into. That would be incredible. I mean, talk about optimizing your content, right? You'd know exactly what's resonating with Google and, by extension, your users.
It'd be like having X-ray vision into Google's algorithm. We could finally see what's happening behind the curtain.
And that's what's so exciting about the future of SEO, isn't it? It's about going beyond those, like, general best practices and really getting into those nitty-gritty details. How is Google actually interacting with our content, on a granular level?
It's about those nuances, the subtleties, those little signals that can make all the difference. This study might have focused on indexing services, but the principles behind it, they apply to, like, so much more.
It's all about being data-driven, experimenting, and refining, based on what you're actually seeing.
It's about thinking critically, challenging assumptions, and figuring out what works best for you, for your website.
And that's what we love about these deep dives. It's not just about, one study or one set of results. It's about, like, taking those insights and applying them to the bigger picture, right?
Absolutely. It's about, giving our listeners the tools to think critically, to experiment, to really take control of their SEO.
Become masters of their domain.
Exactly. So, the next time you're facing some SEO challenge or you see that shiny new tool that's promising the moon,
Oh, yeah. Those are everywhere.
they are, just remember the lessons from this research, right? Take a step back, do your homework, and test it out for yourself. You might be surprised by what you find.
You really might. And who knows, maybe you'll even discover something totally new, something you can share with the whole SEO community. The possibilities are, they really are endless.
They are. SEO is always changing, which means, like, there's always something new to learn, something new to test.
It's what keeps things interesting.
It does. So embrace the challenge, stay curious, and never stop experimenting.
Well said.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up, we always like to leave our listeners with something to, ponder.
Oh, I like this part.
Right. So imagine taking this researcher's approach, like that really meticulous tracking of Googlebot, and applying it to something even more granular. What if we could see how Google interacts with specific elements on a page, beyond just knowing that it visited?
Wait, so you're saying, like, we could actually see which parts of the content are grabbing Google's attention, which images are getting noticed, which links are getting clicked, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Imagine knowing, like, for sure which headlines are working, which paragraphs Google's really digging into. It'd be like having, I don't know, X-ray vision into their algorithm.
That would be incredible. Talk about optimizing your content with laser-like precision, right? You'd be giving Google and your users exactly what they want.
And that, my friends, that's the future of SEO, right? It's about moving beyond those broad strokes and, those generic best practices and really understanding the nuances, the subtleties, those little signals that can make all the difference.
It's about going deep, exploring the details, and unlocking that true potential of your online presence.
So as you continue your SEA ventures, remember to keep that in mind. Don't just settle for those surface-level insights. Dive deep, explore the details, and, really unlock the true potential of your online presence. Until next time, happy optimizing.
And keep those deep dive suggestions coming. We love exploring the hidden depths of the digital world with all of you.